Hello everybody, we are here in front of the Stadio Olimpico for this special episode of Lazio Lounge. After great victory against Fiorentina, Lazio qualified for the semi-final again of Coppa Italia. With me, two special friends, we have Federico Farcomeni and Simone Aquino. Guys, what do you think about this match? I'll start with Federico.
No, okay. Where should I talk here? Okay, Vittorio. Normally we have lots of stats. I watch the game with my mind, but today at the stadium, obviously, my visual was a bit, let's say reduced. So it's a bit more difficult to commentate on the game. The only thing I can say is, we were lucky enough to strike early on, and then obviously we protected the lead. I would have liked Lazio, to see Lazio take a bit of, the game a bit more to Fiorentina in the second half. But in fact, they were all over the place, shall I say. It's Fiorentina was, creating chances, and in Italian I would say we were under siege, we were sotto assedio. So it's we couldn't really, counter at some point, which was a pity, I think. But eventually it's good that we went through. I don't know what Simone thinks about it, or Simon.
Simon, Simone, as you prefer. Thanks, Fede. Hi, Vittorio. I personally think we were very lucky to score in the first 10 minutes, because after that the match started becoming difficult, because Pioli, I think, prepared the match well, and we saw that in the first and second half, where our midfield had pretty much a lot of difficulty in trying to create more than anything. It's very good that we managed to find that goal in the first 10 minutes. I don't think it was an easy game, but we have the quality and we showed it, and luckily we're moving now to semi-finals, ready to watch tomorrow, obviously, what's going to happen between Milan and Inter.
Don't know if you agree with me, but this is something that happens very often with Lazio. We dominate the first half. I thought we should have finished, 3-0 or something like that. And then in the second half, we struggle, like it happened today with Fiorentina. I mean, Fiorentina makes 2 subs, and Lazio really in the second half start to struggle. I don't know, do you think it's something mentally, players get tired, or too convinced the match is already finished?
Well, normally we have this tendency to concede goals in the first 15 minutes of the second half. But today, we could have conceded in any minute of the second half, really, as you say. And it's probably even more worrying because, normally after that first 15 minutes, we recover and, we control the game. But today, it just didn't happen. And we had, that Caicedo coming off and Immobile coming in. So we thought, all right, this is it. We're switching on. But in fact, it wasn't really like I thought, to be honest. Tactically, probably, probably the shape was not the shape they expected it to be. I don't know.
Yes, I pretty much agree with Federico. Also, naturally, Simone Inzaghi was definitely not considering putting someone like Immobile that early in the game. That was not the game he prepared, and even getting a much better striker as Immobile is, rather than Caicedo, and making him play like that the whole game, knowing that on the 30th we are going all the way to play against Inter on a difficult game, because Inter comes from two defeats in a row, and going to play there and play Immobile now rather than the whole game on.
Can I ask you what about Immobile? Because was it flu?
Yeah.
So he played with flu actually.
Well, he was slightly better, but not fit enough to start. I think that was the main thing. By the way, Federico has a flag. He's just walking with a Lazio flag, so
it's actually Greece.
Okay.
From Greece, those colors. So
okay, perfect. Make totally sense. Guys, were you surprised? When Caicedo came off, I thought, okay, now Nani comes in. Do you agree? It was considering about there's Inter playing in a couple of days.
That's exactly what I said to you before, actually, Vittorio. That was something I wasn't expecting, considering that we have got a very hard game coming up on the 30th pretty soon. I was expecting more a Nani to come on, or even a Luis Alberto, play with someone who's gonna go in and bring some quality up front. But I wasn't expecting definitely Immobile to come on that early in the game, and well done to him for helping us bring us to the semi-final.
Probably, shall I say, that's probably the key, because probably Lazio prepared the game with thinking we have a proper centre forward up front for this game. But in fact, when Caicedo came off, then they really didn't know how to settle the game anymore, take the game to Fiorentina anymore. So it could be worrying because you might think. I mean, normally I'm used to think Lazio players are very versatile, in terms of their mind. They know where to switch on and off. They know exactly when they have to change, the tactical plan during the game. But today seemed like they didn't really have a plan B. I don't know. That was my feeling at some point.
My biggest question, seeing the starting 11 of tonight, was: does Simone Inzaghi consider more important this match of tonight rather than Inter? Because you win, you are in the semi-final of Coppa Italia, you are 3 match, honestly, away from a trophy. But if you beat Inter Sunday, the Champions League spot, the 4th place, gets, in your hand again. So, I don't know, do you think Inzaghi thought this is more important? Or, don't know, he's going to play the same 11 Sunday?
I think maybe he was also trying to keep concentration high with his players, considering they've come from Christmas, they've come from, let's say, a short break from training and everything. He wanted to keep the concentration high, considering the match that's coming up. If we weren't playing Inter, I don't think we would have played that team today. We would have played more with other players rather than the players today. That is my impression on why he's played that 11 today. How about you, Federico?
It's a good key actually. But when I saw the starting lineup, if you saw Fiorentina starting lineup and Lazio lineup, obviously you could tell that Lazio actually cared more about this game rather than the weekends. So we follow you. Sorry guys. Well, you cut these, and as you say, it was a bit weird, but at the same time, as Simon says, you definitely wanted to keep to keep the concentration high. What I liked at some point was player like Lukaku, because we often talk about him, and he was like engaging also in a one-on-one tackle situation, which is not normally Lukaku, but in fact is good because it means he's probably working on it. It's probably trying to add another also element to his game, which could be good. So this game, it served also for that reason, I think, to try to, not to experiment, but, to try also to test your, your strength, test your mental strength, test your, tactical awareness. And, they failed in some point, but, they used it successfully in other situations.
We can actually feel lucky that we started off with Caicedo rather than Immobile. Otherwise, maybe we could have been another player coming off. So let's be thankful for that.
Yeah.
I thought it was important also for Felipe Anderson. It was an important test for him. Mm-hmm. I thought first half, good. Not amazing, but good. But in the second half, I don't know, was he tired? Was he somewhere else with his mind? I mean, I didn't like him at all. And I wasn't surprised that the first thing Inzaghi did was take him off. Mm-hmm. How do you rate his performance, and why did he play that bad in the second half, sorry?
I don't know if I have an answer for the second question, but I totally agree. At some point also, I could see, he was actually heading the ball towards the striker, whereas, it should have been the other way around. It should have been Caicedo heading the ball into his path and Felipe Anderson, pacing into the gap. So, he was probably a bit confused at some point, I think. Maybe you have a reason for Felipe Anderson switching off in the second half. But otherwise, I agree with Vittorio. I mean, I wouldn't give him, more than 6 today, to be honest.
Right. My general impression about Felipe Anderson is that sometimes he plays very superficially. And today, in the second half, there is one particular moment. There was a counter-attack for Lazio, and he had various options, and he did probably the most obvious of all the options, which obviously Fiorentina understood, and then he stopped running. I'm sorry, but that sometimes can become irritating. He is a fantastic player, but today, in the second half, I don't know what happened. Maybe he lost concentration. He comes from a period where he hasn't played for a long time, so he's lacking that concentration. he usually has. First half, he gave lots of options. He gave some very good options. Second half, I don't know, not inexistent, but he did do many mistakes that usually, from a player like that, you wouldn't expect. And it can be irritating at times, really.
Talking about another player, well, we have a question from Trigger Lee. Why did Caicedo come off so early? Well, he had a muscle injury. We didn't know exactly what it is, but I think Inzaghi said to take him off to not risk. It's funny because Inzaghi just last Sunday said, finally have all the strikers available. It lasts just one match. But talking about other players, what's your thought about Milinkovic-Savic? I think he's a game changer, but for me in the second half he was very tired, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned, thinking that there's a very important match next Sunday.
Well, yes, Milinkovic is, in my opinion, as I told you, even against AC Milan some time ago, probably the best player we have on the pitch right now. He's technical, he's tactical, he's everything. And I think that, if he wasn't tired, Inzaghi would never have taken him off. So I think probably right now, even if he is the game changer of Lazio, he really moves fantastically. He knows where to be with the ball and without the ball. Probably, yes, I do think he's tired, and also probably Inzaghi was trying to save some of his strengths in waiting for the match against Inter, because naturally, yes, of course, you want to keep the concentration high, but some players maybe start seeing tired, and Inzaghi, being himself, having been himself a player, probably can see things from the pitch that we can't see, and he probably saw him slightly more tired in that moment.
By the way, we're outside the Stadio Olimpico, so, if you like this type of podcast, we can talk about it. Another player I really liked tonight was Lucas Leiva. I thought, especially when Lazio in the second half started struggling, he was fundamental. He was, the wall in front of the defense. And, today especially, he made everybody aware why he's a quality player, that quality player who can make the difference.
Yeah, I think Lucas Leiva is the kind of player that does the dirty work sometimes. He's the kind of player, he's a bit of a ghost shadow player sometimes, that you don't see him that much participating to Lazio when we counter-attack, but he does so much work behind to make sure that we do that counter-attack, to make sure that we get that ball back, even do the foul when it's needed, to stop Fiorentina from coming up, or Inter or any other team that you want to play against. He will always do that work. He's very generous, and even today, yes, he's given a lot to our cause. Sometimes Inzaghi, I've noticed that he changes him sometimes, and this is something that worries me, considering that we don't really have someone to substitute him. I don't see anyone in the Lazio bench, or even in the starting 11, that can actually substitute his position on the team. And when Inzaghi does change him, that does concern me a bit, because we do, in order for us to have high ambitions, we do need some valid substitutes sometimes, and unfortunately I don't see one for Leiva right now on our team.
He tried Murgia a couple of times. I don't think that's the perfect position for him. He's a little bit wasted there. Yeah. But talking about changes, etc., against Inter, do you think Inzaghi will start with the same starting 11? Of course, Immobile in place of Caicedo, and probably Luis Alberto instead of Felipe Anderson. Do you think Milinkovic-Savic, Parolo, Leiva will start again? Or should they start again?
I think they should start again if Inzaghi considers it the right thing to do. They are the best players we've got. Obviously, with Immobile starting, maybe the only thing I think he might consider changing is maybe Bastos and Wallace. Try checking one of the two who will start. I don't see anyone else he can want to try. Maybe consider, I don't know, anyone's condition. He did try quite often Patrick from the beginning. I don't know how much of a good idea that might be on a pitch against a team that plays a very particular kind of football, only with 5 to 6 elements, always attacking. Inter does not play with more than 5 or 6 elements when they do attack. It will all depend on him, but I do think it will be the same starting 11. Maybe the only change I feel he will do will be Wallace for Bastos.
I thought Bastos played really well today. Finally, after a couple of matches where his mind probably was somewhere else, I really like him how he stopped Chiesa in a couple of situations. Chiesa was, for me, the most dangerous player in Fiorentina, so it's good to see him like that. But It's end of December. What do we say about Lazio? It's still fighting for the Champions League, won the Europe League, arrived first. It's in the semi-final of the Coppa Italia. Are you surprised, or, seeing what Lazio did this transfer market is something you were expecting?
Well, that's a big question all round. I think that I am pretty satisfied with where the team is, because we play fantastic football. Because the team plays. There is some kind of. Our team literally, you do see that they care about Lazio. They care about the supporters. They care about they really do care about the symbol, which is something that sometimes we missed from other Lazio teams. Some players weren't very attached, probably the word is, to the cause and everything. But yeah, where we are right now, I think, personally speaking, as a supporter, I'm very happy with where Lazio is. I'm also, we perfectly know that sometimes, we've lost some games against Torino, against other teams where, there have been some very strange decisions at times that made us all very angry. But, we can't stop on these things. They make us angry. We know the situation. The only other thing I can think of is, the team so far, for what they've done, what they've given to us. I think they've done superbly this year so far. I'd probably give them an 8 out of 10.
Federico, you're back.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
What's
I heard you were...
your judgment on Lazio this season? Surprised that
so far
won the Europe League group and it's in the semi-final of Coppa Italia.
Yeah, I would say, as you say, it's pretty positive, to be honest. Although the draw, Europa League, it's not bad, but at the same time, I hoped for something else, because of, I've been already in Bucharest in 2012, so it's I wanted to go to another away game.
You wanted Celtic?
No.
It was Alistair.
Alistair wanted Celtic, yeah. No, I didn't want Celtic at all. But,
no, I'm actually very happy with what we got.
Yeah?
I'm actually very happy with what we got. It's going to be a nice game in Bucharest. Go all the way to Romania. I don't know. I think we're. I don't want to say something wrong. Steaua Bucharest kind of had a few problems with their team at the beginning of at the end of last year. But we perfectly know that going to play in Bucharest will be a difficult game. I hope Radu doesn't do anything stupid in that, because we know that Radu cares a lot about playing a game. He is a Dinamo fan born and bred, so for him it will be a very heartfelt game. He might be a player I wouldn't like to see play in Bucharest, because of maybe he might because of nervousness, and that Radu does have that tendency on being on having his heart sometimes speak more than his brain.
Yeah.
Do you think Inzaghi is right in trying to winning in every competition? See Pioli today. There were a lot of subs playing. Same thing the other teams. Or do you like the fact that every time Lazio plays, they try to win it? It's Serie A, it's Coppa Italia, it's Europe League. Always try to win it. Do you think Lazio have the roster, the players to do it?
Sorry, today I was writing my last articles for Italian daily Tuttosport, and I was reading the Mauricio Pochettino press conference after the game against Southampton, and he said, going into 2018, our resolution is winning every game, because mentality is very important for us. So if you try to win every game, then in fact it shapes your mentality going into every competition, I think.
I totally agree with Federico on that, because the mentality is really important on this. I mean, mentality for a big team is winning every game. If you want to focus on other competitions, leave one on the side, that is not the mentality of a big team. A big team always tries winning every game, and I think Simone Inzaghi, credit to him for this, is probably his idea is to make Lazio think as a big team, not anymore as a team that fights for 5th to 6th place. Now he wants to bring Lazio to be a team that fights for the Champions League spots, for the 4th, for the 3rd place. I think that's as it should be for a big team, and I think that's a big credit to him for this.
We talk a lot about Lulic, he didn't play that well in the past, etc. The last 2 weeks, instead, we saw probably the best Lulic so far.
Have you talked about with Alice there, I think, about the Lazio Crotone goal? Yeah, have you talked about it? Do you think it was intentional or not? Because then when I watched the replay, I thought, oh yeah, actually it was. But at some point, I thought, was he mistaken there? And then he scored. I think he meant it. And today as well, second half, probably the best chance we had. It was with Lulic cutting in and then shooting on low on the first post, and that was actually the best chance we had. He just loves the competition.
Yeah, I think Lulic loves the Coppa Italia for some reason.
Man of the match tonight?
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah, I would say Lulic is man of the match. Yes, for the goal, and yes for how much he's given to the cause tonight. I think he's done really a fantastic job on the pitch. For me, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I would have liked to say, Milinkovic-Savic because, of the assists, but it really didn't shine in the second half. He wasn't really consistent throughout the game.
Maybe someone that could, compete for the man of the match tonight might be Strakosha. Strakosha did a couple of fantastic saves at times. He did a couple of very good saves. The only thing I would probably tell on Strakosha is sometimes he doesn't. He's a bit, shy. He doesn't do too many. He doesn't go too much outside the goal, so he stays quite often inside. But tonight he did a couple of fantastic saves.
He did a save that I could see it easily. It was amazing. I mean, it was exactly how Lazio scored, and he was able to reach it.
The one on the bottom.
Yeah. I would say Leiva because when Lazio started struggling, he came up and stopped Fiorentina on himself. Parolo. A lot of fans near me was complaining about Parolo, etc. I always think he gives 100%. Yeah, he makes a couple of mistakes, but I think that's because he runs so much. He's often, tired.
He's tired.
Yeah, he's tired as well.
I think he's tired.
I think he's vital for this team at the moment.
He's vital, but, age is starting to come on Parolo, I think. And I don't know whether Federico agrees on this, but I think that Parolo, he has got his age, and sometimes he plays because there's no one, even as we spoke about
I think Murgia.
But Murgia isn't playing as often recently, which kind of puts doubts on why Murgia isn't playing as seeing Parolo in that condition. Why isn't Murgia playing?
Yeah, it's true.
Do you think it's only experience? I mean, they're very similar, but Parolo tends to play all the time, and Murgia plays more time when he replaces Leiva than in Parolo position. Do you think because Inzaghi thinks he needs an experienced player there because, the defense move has to be perfect, etc.?
Yeah, but, because we were so, stretched today in midfield, we probably needed some fresh energy at some point. So, it was probably the good replacement. And today, honestly, was because, I'm not often in Rome, and then I was trashing some of the papers I normally, ask my dad to buy. And I was reading one of the papers from September, and there was an article about Inter saying why Inter, they're not making, they're not producing young talents from the academy, whereas at Lazio, Murgia is a first choice, and this was September, and now in December, almost January, we're thinking Murgia is not a first choice anymore. It's not. Doesn't even look like it's a second choice. It's a bit weird. Yeah, it's worrying. It's either Simone Inzaghi spotted some attitude he didn't like, so he wants him to regain his position. I don't know.
And it's not the only one. I'm not talking about the person, the Lazio youth right now. I'm talking even about the players that we got this summer, Bruno Giordao, the other players that arrived, the other player, what was the name of Felipe? The other name of the
Neto, yeah, Felipe.
The other defender. I mean, they look like really third choices now.
You were in Varagem, and I think you expected them to come on in that game. It was now or never in that game.
Vargic, we understood why he is a second and sometimes a third choice because he did.
Yeah. Why Guerrieri didn't play? Give a chance.
That
to Guerriero.
was the question all of us because I was in Varagem seeing Varagem Lazio. That was a question more or less everyone around me was asking, why isn't Guerrieri playing?
Yeah, but would you expect Guerrieri to play today as well?
Not today. I thought against Cittadella was the match for him.
It was probably. It was the right game.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway, can I tell you something about the atmosphere tonight? Because they always, most people I meet who are, not Lazio supporters who, probably support some other team, and, they keep telling me, but you don't have, that anthem that gives you shivers like Roma or whatever. But can I tell you something? When there is Vola Lazio Vola gives me shivers.
Yeah, it does.
If you don't support Lazio, you don't really understand. And also obviously Battisti's song at the end, I think it's like our You'll Never Walk Alone. You know, it should be played at the entrance. Actually,
it's the essence of Lazio fans.
But it's perfect at the end. It's perfect.
And I want to add, finally, I am so happy we played on Boxing Day, in a sense, if we can say this. We had the Boxing Day game finally on the 26th of December.
Did we actually ever play on these dates?
I'm not sure.
Maybe
No,
not.
I don't think so.
No.
And that was the next question. I mean, Stadio Olimpico was nearly packed against Crotone, and again tonight.
Yeah.
This tells you, if Serie A start playing regularly during Christmas period, the stadium probably will be. And again, it was an incredible atmosphere for a semi-final of a Coppa Italia, quarter-final. Sorry, it's still important, but in the past we were used to see nearly empty stadiums, so it's very good to see it like that. And
good response. But I was talking to other people, and they said, actually, if we had played at like 5 p.m., it could have been, even more crowded, because rather than go to the cinema, people would have,
I don't understand playing at this time really on a game on the 26th of December. It doesn't make much sense, to be honest. It would have made much more sense playing at 3 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, like they do play in the United Kingdom.
The Premier League
like
today.
The Premier League, yes, of course.
3 o'clock, something like that. So it's perfect. Make times. You have your lunch and then you go to the stadium, so it makes totally sense.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it started raining. I want to thank you very much for joining me. I thought it was a great podcast. Before finishing, how Inter Lazio finish, Federico?
Okay, you keep asking me these questions because I must tell you this before we go. When I started this job, because I started doing it in 2007, so we kind of qualified for the Champions League and all that, but then following season were really crap. We lost 5-1 at home against Milan, and we were a really bad side, so people started to what it's like in sports journalism. Is like that guy is a bad luck charm or whatever it is, so it's avoid him. But now now that I'm in London, I was in London, then there was a radio program from Rome calling me every Friday. So they called me before Juve v Lazio, and they asked me for the prediction, and I said, well, it could be 1-1. So then we won it, and then so they started calling me as a ritual every Friday. So I'm now leaving London like a good luck charm, which shows you the madness in the sports media.
You're going around in circles. You're not saying the result of the match.
Okay. All the time. I hope
we have only 2%.
I hope it's Inter 0, Lazio 1.
I wouldn't take away a draw. If we get a draw, I would take it, considering that Inter comes from 2 defeats in a row. So it won't be easy.
Let's see what they do in the derby tomorrow, actually.
Let's see what they do tomorrow.
Yeah, I think a draw could be a good result, even because, with all the players starting tonight, I felt Savic was a little bit tired. So that's going to count in an important match, considering that, Lazio played a lot of match close in these days.
I'm going to say 1-1, Perisic, Savic. Perisic, Milinkovic.
Yeah, I see both teams scoring, so it could be a 1-1. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And
Thank you.
Happy New Year if we don't talk
Happy New Year.
before.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.